Hey, good Monday morning, my friends. MLive Chief Meteorologist Mark Torregrossa here with the MLive Morning Weather Update. And we're looking at a couple of things here, quite a bit of winter weather. We've got a very deep freeze coming. It looks like it would be early next week. About this time next week, we'd be talking about a lot of us heading to a few degrees to maybe 10 to 15 degrees below zero, depending on how the winds and the sky cover occurs in the morning hours. So that's very cold. Still the absence of any big widespread statewide snowstorm. With the cold air, of course, we get areas of lake effect snow that can be heavy, and it looks like these would be 6 to 12 hour windows of heavy lake effect snow in spots. So I'll highlight that to you. So you can find some decent travel, but you better be set for even deeper cold than what we have in the area right now. And we're already January 13th, so the winter's going as it should. We typically, in a normal winter, and we're getting the old-fashioned Michigan winter, we typically would bottom out with our coldest temperatures in the last part of January, first week of February. Then the sun starts to actually gain some power, and it's a little tougher to get extremely cold as you get into the second 2 weeks of February. So the time is already ticking on Old Man Winter if you're not a fan of it. Hello, first off this morning to Michelle Snow from Western Shores. And Cynthia Doucette, good morning to you. Kevin Smith, thanks for watching the MLive Morning Weather Update. Here's current radar. There's been some snow in the classic west wind snow belt of Gaylord, Mansalona area overnight. And there's been a little bit of lake effect through the great Grand Rapids area, a couple of spots reporting a few inches. Otherwise, just what I like to call decorative flurries. Now, this kind of shows you somewhat where we're going in that we have a winter weather advisory for the west central, southwest part of the state, Kalamazoo and Grand Rapids area and Muskegon area, all under this winter weather advisory. Also northwest lower, then winter storm warning up for the Keweenaw Peninsula in the western part of the UP as the cold air comes on in. All right, we'll start with the high-resolution rapid refresh radar forecast. And what you should get out of this is that today is a fairly quiet day across the southern half of lower Michigan. So here's the radar forecast. The snow continues north of the Traverse City area. We're into this afternoon, and we're into driving home from work, 6 o'clock tonight. Not really much that is significant going on. Look at those swirl up across Lake Superior in the radar forecast. That is the Arctic front and a vortex coming down. This is midnight tonight, and this model wants to develop kind of an I-96, I-94 band of lake effect snow overnight tonight with 1 inch to 3 inches. So you could wake up tomorrow morning to slow drive if you're going from Detroit to Lansing to Jackson to the Grand Rapids area. This is 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. The lake effect starting to expand across northwest lower, expand across southwest lower, and stretch to the east, and do nothing around Flint, Saginaw Bay City, the Thumb, the northeast, and the center part of the state. Do nothing but cold. Now we go into Tuesday afternoon. The wind's turning more northwesterly. That breaks down the I-94 lake effect band, and it turns it to lake effect shifting through the Traverse City area down toward Manistee, Ludington. And as we go to Tuesday evening, the lake effect continues, but very minimal in coverage, not impacting the most of the state, and by Wednesday morning it's over. So Wednesday's a pretty good travel day also, and then Thursday and Friday we go above the freezing mark in the afternoons. So if you like to just see dry pavement and not that icy compacted stuff on the side of the road, by Friday you should be doing pretty good. All right, total snowfall out of this. So today we're looking at really not much except for that Gaylord, Mansalona, Burt Lake area, and of course the western UP. Then we go through the night to tomorrow morning and look at that through Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, over to Lansing, over toward Oakland County, maybe Ann Arbor area somewhere. Probably a pretty thin band, but that's 2 to 4 inch snow. And that's a dangerous one because the roads are fine, and then you make a little turn in the road and you get onto the snow, and of course the other people out there not paying attention are all slid off into the ditch. So be careful with that. Now, as we go through the day on Tuesday into Wednesday morning, the snow picks up as the wind turns to the northwest, and you could find a 6-inch plus band somewhere from Holland to near Kalamazoo. You could find 6-inch plus from Cadillac through the Traverse City area up to Mansalona. You can find another 10 inches, and across the UP you can easily find 6 to 10. Where you can't find a lot of snow in the next couple of days, the areas that don't get the lake effect. Saginaw, Bay City, Midland, Flint, dusting to 1 inch, the thumb, the northeast, the Sunrise side, as we call it, and into the Detroit and Oakland County areas, really only an inch or so in the next couple of days. All right, bigger picture now. So this is the European model, and the story here is the absence of any big widespread storm system. Here's Wednesday. Here's Thursday. We get into a southwesterly wind, just a little, 6-hour period of light snow swings through, but the red line you see is actually the freezing mark. And by Friday we turn windy, but we get above the freezing mark. Doesn't last long because another storm system forms in the south. Expectations are right now it misses us to the south. We'll have to watch that. That would be Saturday morning. Maybe the far southeast, maybe Detroit and Ann Arbor get in on the northern edge of that into some snow, and then the Arctic front and a big old Arctic high pressure system. So we're getting into Monday, and that Arctic high pressure system settles into the plains to our west, delivers us the cold air. The Great Lakes are cooling down. They're starting to ice up by that time, and so the Arctic air is allowed to march on into Michigan. Not as much as into Wisconsin, so we're still modified a little bit. But you don't see any large-scale storm systems yet, and there's another Arctic front late next week. And so guess what? It is cold for several weeks, folks. There is a slight sign that we come back up toward the end of January or early February. There's a few reasons for us to start to come back to, temperatures afternoons in the 30s. Lenny, Macomb County, no snow the rest of the week. Macomb County, not much, inch or so, about is all you'll get. All right, let's look at the temperatures. Are you ready? Are you ready for this? Now, remember, I'm looking pretty far out. I'm looking out a week for you on this Arctic air. That's not real far in weather terms nowadays. I'm looking at all of the models. They're all saying something very similar. The deterministic mode, which is a mode that we don't really necessarily believe 8, 9, 10, 14, 16 days out. I'm looking at those, but I'm looking at the ensembles too. That's where we tweak a model 51 times, average them together. And if it says something a week to 10 days out, it's probably going to happen in some sort of fashion in that idea. So what you're looking at here is the European model in the ensemble mode, 51 tweaks, averaged together, the surface temperature anomaly. So how far below normal? By the way, normal's now coming up in the next week about 25 to 30 across lower Michigan for an average high temperature. So when we start talking 25 degrees below normal, you're in the single digits for high temperatures. And if you're in the single digits for high temperatures, you can usually take, if there's any sort of wind, you can take 10 degrees off at night, get you several degrees below zero. If you calm down and you have fresh snow, you can drop 15, 20 degrees overnight, and that puts you into the 15 below. And that's what I think is we're going to settle into next week, some days of 0 to 5 below, maybe a morning of 10 to 15 below, and then back to 0 to 5 below. So we'll probably got about 3-4 mornings next week below zero. Here's your little warm spell. This is Thursday. This is Friday. Friday we actually go, no, let's call it 10 degrees warmer than normal and make it to 38 or 40 in some spots, probably not 40. And then here comes the Arctic air. This is the onslaught. This is late next Sunday is really when it comes in. Monday, January 20th. Tuesday, January 21st, right there, it kind of peaks and it takes up almost the whole entire country. That purple color you see there is a let's call it a 20 degree Celsius below normal. Hey, good morning, John Robert Williams and Dan Foss and Jackie Morris. Is a 20 degree Celsius below normal. So I convert that to about 30 to 40 degrees below normal, and that would be a record-setting morning. Records at that time are anywhere between about 13 and 20 below. This is Wednesday the 22nd, and this is Thursday the 23rd. Looks a little bit better, but it's still 10 to 15 degrees below zero. We're still making it down to zero in the morning and teens in the afternoon. This is Friday. This is Saturday, January 25th. This isn't a one-day in and out, folks. And then this is Sunday, January 26th. And as we get toward the end of this, which we don't necessarily believe, January 28th, we're still running 5-10 degrees colder than normal and somewhat fading. Some of the other data that I have that goes a little bit farther shows a continued slowly dissolving of the deep Arctic air, but not so sure about that because by that time the lakes have built quite a bit of ice and it allows an easier flow of another burst of Arctic air, and February can be a very cold month. So low temperatures. Teens tomorrow, Wednesday, teens and 20s. Thursday, we mild up. These are the high temperatures. High temperatures in the 30s on Thursday and in the 30s on Friday. So if you want to travel this week, you don't want to deal with any ice on any road, Friday afternoon, probably a pretty good time period. There's Saturday, then here comes the Arctic air. Sunday, Monday, this time next week, probably bundled up. Tuesday, high temperatures, maybe not even zero in places. Next Wednesday, next Thursday, a little bit of a warm up, and then another onslaught of Arctic air. And so let's look at the ugly numbers, the low temperatures as we get into the Arctic cold. Next Monday, like I said, probably a few degrees below zero. And next Tuesday appears to be the coldest day, well below zero. And next Wednesday as well. Well, I think those that want a true Michigan winter, you're getting one. Still lacking the statewide big snowstorm. It tends to come when we go into Arctic cold. Doesn't look like it's happening at that point. And then it tends to come when we come out of Arctic cold, which would set us up for late January or early February. I still think the atmosphere has all the ingredients. Obviously, you got to have the cold there. You got to have the storm track. We have both of those. The timing just has to come together for a snowstorm, and of course I will keep you updated on that. I won't say if it's good or bad because 50% of you hate winter here, and 50% of you love Michigan, love winter in Michigan. I'll let you decide on that. I'm MLive Chief Meteorologist Mark Torregrossa. Thanks for joining me, and stay warm. Prepare yourself for almost historic cold, okay?